Ever had one of those moments, where reality just kind of completely rearranges itself, like you're seeing everything for the first time?
Whoa, yeah.
That's kind of what we're dealing with today.
No kidding.
As we take a deep dive into the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11.
We're talking about a text that, well, it's trying to put the most profound, actually, I'd say the most inexpressible experience into words.
Exactly, and we've got the Tia and Sethumadhavan translation to try to guide us through.
Okay.
So, imagine this. You're a warrior named Arjuna, right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
You're about to face this massive battle, but here's the catch. Your own family's lined up on the other side.
Oh, wow. Talk about a moral dilemma.
That's putting it lightly.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets even more wild. See, Arjuna's charioteer,
Yeah.
Krishna, he's also an avatar of the divine.
Oh, this is getting good.
Right. And to try to help Arjuna through this crisis, Krishna decides, you know what, I'm just going to reveal my true nature.
Lay it on me.
But this isn't just any reveal, okay?
Right.
This is like the universe itself, just pulling back the curtain and saying, okay, you want to see what's really going on? Here it is.
I'm almost scared to ask.
Chapter 11 is that pivotal moment in the Gita where all these kind of abstract ideas about the divine, they become this full-blown, overwhelming, you have got to be kidding me experience.
Intense.
Sethumadhavan calls it a practical demonstration of how everything exists within the self.
Which is pretty mind-blowing when you actually stop and think about it.
It's like someone trying to cram the entire universe into, like, a phone booth,
Yeah.
I mean, Sethumadhavan describes this cosmic form as having thousands of faces, and they're all blazing like 1,000 suns simultaneously.
Whoa.
Yeah, no wonder Arjuna has, shall we say, a bit of a meltdown.
Just a tad.
Imagine that, like, multiplied by infinity.
It's not exactly a calming vision, is it?
Not at all.
Think about it. He's confronted with this being, and it's got many mouths and eyes. That's how the text describes it.
Yeah.
Many arms, thighs, and feet, with many stomachs, and fearful with many tusks.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely not something I'd want to run into in a dark alley.
Nope.
But, it really makes me wonder, like, what would we do if we were standing in Arjuna's sandals right now? How do you think we'd react if our nice, comfortable, ideas about the divine were completely upended like that?
It's a powerful question, and you're right. The Gita does not shy away from it.
Yeah.
Because Arjuna's reaction, that mix of complete awe and, let's be honest, terror, it's a vital part of why this chapter is so powerful.
Right.
This isn't a great warrior, someone who stared down like countless enemies.
Yeah.
But when he comes face to face with this all-encompassing reality, he is completely overwhelmed.
Which I think speaks to a really, really important point. We often have a very limited, almost comfortable view of what we even consider divine.
We want a divine that fits neatly into our little boxes.
Totally.
Good and evil, light and darkness.
Right.
But chapter 11 just blows those categories wide open, like completely explodes them.
It's like it's saying, buckle up, Buttercup, because reality is a whole lot bigger and stranger than you might think.
And here's the thing, confronting the fullness of the divine, even the aspects that really challenge us, that can actually be the key to a much, much deeper understanding.
So when we left off, I think Arjuna was having what you might call a slight freak out, right?
That's putting it mildly, let me say. I mean, he's looking at this being that basically is the entire universe, and he's utterly terrified.
Yeah, understandably.
Totally. But the really interesting thing is, the text doesn't shy away from that fear at all. If anything, it kind of leans into it.
Yeah, it seems like Arjuna's very human, very relatable response is almost central to the whole point of this chapter.
Exactly. It's not like Arjuna just stands there speechless, right? He cries out.
Yeah.
He's literally begging Krishna, show me that previous form only, O God. Have mercy, O God of gods, O abode of the universe.
He's basically like, can we just rewind this whole thing? I was perfectly happy with the chariot and the friendly advice. Thanks.
It's kind of funny when you put it like that, but when you really think about what he's saying, this is a big deal. Arjuna, this legendary warrior, he's pleading for a return to something familiar, to a divine form that he can actually wrap his head around.
Which I think is something a lot of us can probably relate to, right? I mean, how often do we find ourselves clinging to those comfortable beliefs, even when they're being challenged, even when we're confronted with new experiences or ideas that kind of shake things up?
All the time. And that's what's so powerful about this chapter, I think. It pushes us to confront those limitations, those places where we're holding on to a limited view because it's comfortable. The divine, at least as it's depicted in chapter 11, it's not some distant benevolent figure, It is the very essence of existence itself.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot to process.
It's everything, the creation, the destruction, the whole shebang.
So, yeah, not exactly the warm and fuzzy kind of divine image we might be used to. It's intense, it's awe-inspiring, and I think it completely shatters any kind of preconceived notions we might have about what that word even means.
Exactly. And that's a really, really crucial point. This chapter isn't saying that our desire for a comfortable, easily digestible divine is wrong or bad.
Mm.
It's more about recognizing that sometimes holding on to that limited view can actually prevent us from grasping a much larger, a much more complex reality.
It's like trying to understand the ocean by just looking at one single drop of water, you know?
Perfect analogy. And this is where the real transformation happens, I think. When we can sit with that discomfort, with the awe, with even the terror that Arjuna is experiencing, that's what cracks open that space for deeper understanding.
Because it forces us to at least acknowledge that, hey, maybe there's more to the divine, more to reality itself than we can even grasp with our limited human perspectives.
Exactly. And that recognition, that willingness to expand our understanding, that's essential to having a truly authentic relationship with everything. With the divine, with ourselves, with the universe.
It's not just about blind faith or just kind of like adhering to dogma, right? It's about constantly seeking, constantly questioning, and being open to having our perspectives challenged, even turned upside down.
And that's what makes Chapter 11 so incredibly relevant, even thousands of years later. This isn't just some ancient story about a warrior having a vision. It's a call to action. It's a call to look beyond those limitations we create, to embrace the vastness and the complexity of everything, and to let that understanding really inform how we choose to live our lives.
Okay, so we've talked about Arjuna's experience of the cosmic form, right? It's awe-inspiring, it's terrifying, it kind of breaks apart those tidy little boxes we try to put the divine in.
Definitely.
But it's easy to get kind of lost in the what of it all, you know? What I'm really grappling with is, like, the so what? Like, how do we take these massive cosmic concepts and actually make them relevant to our everyday lives? How do we live differently because of them?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And the good news is, I think the Gita actually gives us some clues. Because remember, Arjuna's freaking out, and he asks Krishna point blank, like straight up, tell me who you are so fierce in form.
He wants answers.
He's looking for something to hold on to, some guidance to make sense of this experience that's just completely blown his mind.
So does Krishna give him, like, the cosmic equivalent of a self-help pep talk?
Not quite. What's so interesting is that Krishna's advice is actually very direct, very practical.
Okay, I'm listening.
He tells Arjuna, he who does all actions for me, who looks upon me as the supreme goal, who is devoted to me, who is free from attachment, who bears enmity towards none, he comes to me.
Whoa. There's a lot to unpack there, but the part about devotion really jumps out. But we're not just talking about blind faith here, right?
Definitely not. It's more about aligning your actions, even the little everyday things, with a higher purpose.
Okay, so how do we actually do that?
It's like Krishna is saying that everything we do, from our work to our relationships, even like washing the dishes, it can all become an act of devotion if we approach it with that intention.
So it's not necessarily what you're doing, but the energy you bring to it. Like, I'm not suddenly going to reach enlightenment by folding laundry, but if I can approach that task with presence, with intention, with that sense of offering, that shifts something.
100%. It's like infusing your actions with that awareness, remembering that interconnectedness we keep talking about, seeing everything as part of something way, way bigger than ourselves. And that brings us to another part of Krishna's advice, being free from attachment.
Which, yeah, that's a whole other conversation right there.
It's a lifelong practice, no doubt. But the basic idea is that real freedom, true liberation, it comes when we can let go of needing to control the outcome of everything we do.
I mean, that's easier said than done when you're staring down a to-do list a mile long or trying to make rent. But I can see how letting go of that need to control everything could be incredibly powerful.
It's about surrendering that ego-driven need for specific results. Trusting that by aligning our actions with something bigger, with the divine, things will unfold as they should.
And then there's that last bit. Who bears enmity towards none? That feels especially relevant these days.
It's huge. When you really start to see yourself, to see everyone as part of this interconnected web, it's hard to hold on to anger, resentment, that kind of negativity.
So it's not about pretending everyone's perfect or ignoring real harm. It's about, I don't know, it's like choosing compassion even when it's hard.
It's about recognizing that spark of the divine in everyone, even in those who challenge us. And that, I think, is a powerful, powerful antidote to all the division and the conflict we're seeing everywhere.
Man, that's beautiful. It's a lot to take in. But even if we never experience the cosmic form like Arjuna did, Chapter 11 reminds us that we are all connected, all part of something so much greater than ourselves.
And that just living with that awareness, bringing that awareness to everything we do, that's what can lead to real transformation, not just in our own little worlds, but in the world around us.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 11. Hopefully, this has given you a new way of looking at this ancient text and how it still speaks to us today, even thousands of years later.
We could talk about this for days, but the real exploration starts with you. So keep questioning, keep reflecting, and keep seeking that deeper connection to yourself, to the divine, to the incredible mystery of it all.